Welcome to this 50th day of lockdown in South Africa, perhaps a Pentecost moment on this particular journey. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. Today's Eucharist readings again come from Acts and John as they have throughout Eastertide. In John's Gospel today we are again in chapter 15 as we were yesterday, but now in the passage where Jesus commands that we love one another as he's loved us. And interestingly, there's a slight shift at the end of the passage. Jesus says, I give this command that you may love one another. And for me, there's an important shift here from having to almost to it's a choice. And I think that that's helpful in our relationship with God, to realize that we do have choice. In today's reading, I think it's attached quite strongly to Jesus' comments that he no longer sees us as servants, or in the original Greek as slaves, but that he sees us as friends. And that our friendship, the way we are able to demonstrate our friendship is by holding the commands, the words that Jesus has given, and living those out. But it's out of choice. It's not that this is demanded of us. And I think that's a helpful thought, certainly for myself, that actually I do have choice. I'm in this relationship with God because I choose to be there. Yes, God is called. And I've heard that call and I've responded to that call, but I have chosen to make that response, and maybe a number of times in my life have needed to reaffirm that response, and embrace that. But I think I've been able to do that because there is the sense that I have that God is my friend. Now, I have a few colleagues that get a little anxious when we start talking about what a friend I have in Jesus. Because sometimes I think we can take friendship a little flippantly. I have the opposite. I go in the opposite extreme. I tend to get a little bit overawed by those in authority. So seeing God as a friend really helps balance my sense of relationship, both with God, with others, and with the world. Perhaps you're someone who does take things a little bit more flippantly or less seriously. And maybe there are other challenges in this for you. But there is this wonderful sense that Jesus says, you are my friends. We're on this journey together. We work this journey out together. And certainly if I consider much of my prayer life, it's working out the journey of faith together in conversation with God, trusting in the Spirit of God to lead, to guide, and needing those times where I can recenter my life in that relationship. In this time of lockdown, I think there's a sense that a lot of us have just had to look in the mirror. We've seen ourselves in ways that perhaps when life is its normal busyness and we're interacting fully in our world and in our social relationships, that we don't have time to reflect. And so I'm wondering what your experience has been as we come to this reading today. What does it say to you as you hear Jesus saying, I call you friends? I do not demand anything of you in terms of the master-slave relationship. We're in this together. And so how are we living that out? And what is the nature of friendship that we share with God, with Jesus, with the Spirit of God at this time? I often feel a little sorry for my friends and my family as well, because I get quite caught up in what's in front of me in the moment. And friendships can be put on hold for months, sometimes even years. But it's always such a pleasure to step back into those friendships and to know the space in which I can just be myself, be who I am, say what I think without any fear of recrimination. And my really good friendships are those sort of places. And my thanks to those of you who give that gift to me. It's hugely appreciated. But that gift ultimately rests in my relationship with God. And it's just wonderful to know that ultimately in that personal face-to-face interaction with God, I can just be me. And that is sufficient for the moment and for the time, and actually for life. So how's your friendship with God? How is your friendship with others? What is the life-giving aspects and nature of that gift that God gives?